You're listening to the Planet 76 podcast, a podcast about 76ers basketball, and we're clear to take off. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to the Planet 76 podcast. I'm your co-host, Michael, from Trust to Love, and I'm here with my co-host, Troy. This is episode 4?
Episode 4, man.
4 episode in, and we are going strong. We're going to be previewing the Atlanta Hawks series with the Philadelphia 76ers. The first round just ended up here. Sixers won 4-1, and like I said, we're going to be recapping that series a little bit, and we're going to be heading into the second round with the Atlanta Hawks. But before we do, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast, whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, Planet 76 Podcast. And we're just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna let Troy take it over for now.
That's right.
Like I said, make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys keep up with the podcast, and let's get right into it.
Let's get into it, man. So I don't think there's a whole lot for us to touch on necessarily from Game 5 of Round 1. It kind of took care of business there. No Joel. We had Seth drop a 30-piece. Tobias had what?
Yes,
28?
sir.
Is that right? I think 28.
Yes, I think
Ben
he did,
Simmons
yeah.
had a triple-double. So a three-headed monster in Game 5 got the job done for us. And we're able to knock out the Wizards. And both you and I stressed the importance of winning that game on the last show. I mean, It was important that we got that done.
Yes, exactly.
And so now we're moving on. So this is our preview episode of our matchup with the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Semifinals. And so we're going to jump right in. So Michael, we know the Sixers won 4-1. What did the Hawks do?
The Hawks actually just won 4-1 as well against the New York Knicks. Pretty, obviously pretty lopsided series. I was expecting a little more fight out of the Knicks, to be honest. But, a lot of the NBA is a lot of unpredictable and unexpected events that occur. And this is one of them, at least for me again. Trae Young had an amazing series. And the Hawks ended up taking it home in 5 games. I think they won both. They won both at Madison Square Garden, right? Or did they win one? I don't recall because
Who's the 4? I don't even know. I think the Hawks
were the 4. No.
5.
Ooh.
I think it started in Madison Square Garden. I think it started there.
It did, yeah.
Got 1.
Yes, you're right. Yep. It started in MSG.
Knicks won Game 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, and then but they pulled off 3 straight after it was a 1-1 series. Everybody was like, okay, it's going 6, it's going 7, it's going to be down to the wire. It's going to be a great series, and the Hawks are able to win the last 3.
They were like, nope, you thought.
Make it not so great a series. Yeah, exactly. So our series with them tips off Sunday, June 6th, here in just a few days. So we wanted to get a preview in with plenty of time to spare. We're starting Sunday at 1 o'clock. So I'm just going to walk us through some notes on the Hawks. For those of you Sixers fans that don't know a ton about the Hawks, haven't kept up with them this year, whatever it may be, I did some research on them. So obviously Trae Young's their bright star. He gets the start at point guard. They got Bogdanovich at the 2, DeAndre Hunter at the 3, John Collins, another guy I like, at the 4, and Clint Capella. And then their bench, their bench in the Knicks series, they only had 2 guys that were over 10 minutes.
Wow.
And that was Kevin Huerter and Danilo Gallinari. So kind of a 7-man rotation, if you will. They obviously go small. I mean, Gallinari's a 3-4. Yeah. Huerter's a 2-3.
Yeah, they don't really have a backup.
So
a backup big. They usually rely on Capella for a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and they must go to Collins at the 5 when Capella's out. They play that Okongwu guy.
Onyeka Okongwu,
He only played, he played like an average of 6 minutes in the series. I think he played in all 5 games, though, and then they got Lemon Pepper Lou for the Hawks now. So
that's funny.
Something else interesting, though, is Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish did not play at all in that series with the New York Knicks. He didn't get any burn, didn't get any time because he was battling an Achilles injury. And that's why. And so he's actually hopeful. I read that they're hoping he may come back in the second series with the Sixers. This was a few days ago. I'm sure there'll be some more news to come. Maybe he won't be there for game 1, but maybe game 3, 4, 5, he might be able to come back. He's a guy that averaged double digits off the bench for them as well, so we'll see what they get there. Something that shocked me a little bit in what I saw from just like statistical averages, if you will, the Hawks were pretty much near the middle of the pack in a lot of those categories in terms of like three-point shooting, field goal percentage, things like that, three-point attempts. Like they were not as high as I would have anticipated, I think. And then, of course, Clint Capella, 14 boards a game. He was third in the NBA in blocks this year. Trae Young was second in assists. And then versus the Knicks, so we've already talked about their depth a little bit, but they had 6 players that averaged between 9 points and 14 points. So pretty balanced. And then so all 6 of those follow after Trae Young, who averaged 29 and 10 during that series. So do you remember any of the matchups we had with them? There were a couple that were just a month ago.
I remember. Any
takeaways from those?
I do remember Trae Young carving us up a little bit. I think Clint Capella had a nice game. Not the most recent matchup, but I think a few before that. But I was actually at that Hawks game, and was I at that Hawks game?
Oh, really?
I was at that Hawks game. Yes, I'm pretty sure the Sixers won. But yeah,
like a month ago.
Yeah, it was in like early April. Yeah, or late April.
Yeah, late April.
Either way, yes.
So we played them twice at the end of April. So you were at one of those. We blew them out twice.
Yes, I think I was at. I think I was at the first
28th
one.
And 30th.
I was at the one at the 28th. I think.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh wait.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. They won both games. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they did. They did by a considerable margin in both. I mean, I don't know how much we can take from that, but they won both of those, and then they played way back, and this has nothing to do with the series because of some of the players I'm going to name, but January 11th, early season, that was like our COVID outbreak issue. We played the Hawks and lost. You know who started that day? Dakota Mathias.
Legend. Man.
Sixers legend. Along with Tyrese Maxey, Paul Reed got minutes, Tony Bradley got minutes, Isaiah Joe got big minutes, because no Ben, no Seth, and no Tobias in that one.
Wow.
But I just thought that was hilarious.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm looking at the notes. I see that. I'm like, wow, what a long way.
That stretch of games was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That stretch of games was so rough.
Yeah. And I'll start with that Nuggets game, right?
Yeah, the Nuggets. I think we played the Heat. They had issues COVID-wise, too, when we played them. And obviously the Hawks. I don't fully remember that one, but Dakota Mathias played like 38 minutes.
Oh, my gosh. That's wild.
And I think the Hawks were full strength. Yeah.
That's
wild.
Yeah,
so let's talk about the big fella. It'd be wrong to start a series preview without talking about him. So there's been some news that has broke since we last recorded, even kind of about what it's going to look like, and it's a lateral meniscus tear. I missed the key word there. The key word is small. Anytime you hear the word meniscus and tear, it's probably not a great thing.
Yeah.
What do you know about this? I mean, they're listing him day to day. He didn't play in Game 5. He warmed up. Like, how are you feeling?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can speak for a lot of people. I'm hopeful. I don't know how hopeful to be because I don't know really the extent of this injury. I don't think a lot of us know the extent of this injury, considering that. I mean, none of us are medical professionals or anything like that, but from what we've seen, it seems like the organization is at least hopeful that he'll come back, because they said that he won't need surgery, which is good, and they're going to try and just but rehab him, I guess, with treatment and physical therapy, and just I think it's a swelling issue, right? They're trying to decrease swelling and something else, but having him not have surgery is a good sign for me, at least, and I think for a lot of people too. So that's a good sign, and I think it's all gonna come down to how much pain he's in. I think they said too, like his pain tolerance. Can he tolerate it? Can he like move with it, walk on it, do that, the basic stuff to eventually bump him up? So I'm really hoping that we can at least win a couple games without him if he's not able to play in the first few games of the series. I'm hoping we at least win 1 or 2 without him because, and I said it in the last episode, I mean, the Sixers are still a good team. We saw it last night. The Sixers are still really good without Embiid, and I know the Hawks are also really good as a team, but I also think the Sixers are a great team without Embiid as well, and I think they can win a couple games without him. So if they do, that's great. That's what you want.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's the hope. That's the goal. Yeah, that's interesting because I saw something today that said it is about the swelling. If they can keep that down and manage it, and again, of course, if he can handle whatever discomfort, whatever pain it is giving him, he'll be okay. So there's hope. It certainly could have been worse.
Definitely, a lot worse.
When the news broke that he wasn't returning to Game 4, I didn't think it would be this much of a concern either.
Same.
To be completely honest.
Yeah.
Now, again, it could be worse. So, what do you think? I mean, you mentioned, it'd be nice to win 1 or 2 without him. Now, in an ideal world, if he's not 100%, we don't want him to go.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
if we need him, we need him. And I'm sure he'll play if we're down 0-2 or whatever. So, in an ideal world, I think we beat the Hawks and we save him.
Yeah. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
That'd be nice.
To have a fully
what
rested
if we
Embiid.
could take care of the Hawks. Yeah.
That would be so great.
For the conference finals. That would be great. But I mean, do you think part of anything that is a part of the strategy could be like, okay, let's give him rest until we lose? Like, do you think that could be playing a factor right now?
I mean, it's something along the lines of that. It's got to be because, number one, they want rest, but they also want to win this series. Very, very obviously, they want to win this series. And I think it was Doc Rivers, or maybe it was Daryl Morey, said if there's a way that Embiid is going to end up playing, then he'll find that way. So I'm really hoping, kind of like what you said, if they play Embiid, rest him until they lose. I mean, it's possible. I mean, even if they lose 1 or 2 games, I could maybe see him still resting. There's so many possibilities. It's really hard to pinpoint.
It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it's going to end up and what's going to happen.
And no one knows. No one knows. We can give our take on it. And
right.
One of my, I think, big takes on it right now, where I stand, is, okay, we play Sunday. That would have been nice if the Hawks and Knicks took a little longer because we probably wouldn't have opened up second round until like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
At the earliest. And now, however, if I say, okay, I don't think either of us or anybody envisions Embiid going Game 1.
No way.
Let's say we get
He's out. Yeah.
Let's say we take care of business in Game 1 and Game 2. We win both at home. We do what we're supposed to do. I don't see that there's any chance, again, unless he's okay, I don't see there's any chance that he goes in Game 3 on the road.
No.
Now we dropped that one.
So either.
He'll probably go. That's kind of like what I'm feeling. Could be wrong. Could be whatever. But I think we take care of business. He's gonna stay sitting out until we need him. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure.
So regarding that, we know who was able to start in his place. Kind of in his place, at least in the starting lineup, was Matisse.
Yes.
What's your take on that, on moving forward without Joel? Who gets in, who gets the minutes, that kind of thing?
I like it a lot. I like the Bennett center. I mean, obviously, he may have a bit more difficult of a time against a guy like Clint Capella, but I like it. I think starting Matisse is a great option. I don't know who else you would have started in that situation. I don't think Maxey is the guy to put in that position. I don't think Shake or Furkan, or I'm not going to say his name, are a good
Mike Scott
to put there.
Do you mean
but
Mike
I
Scott?
Like Matisse. I wasn't going to say his name. But I mean, you did, so.
I had to.
Yeah, no, but
that was encouraging though. Like
to see Matisse,
however many minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I
and
mean,
his
Doc
defense
Rivers
was
responded
well.
to what you told him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he saw your post or he listened to us or something.
Tobias Harris saw my comment on his post, so maybe Doc Rivers saw my post. I don't know.
He might have because, I mean, like to think that was a real possibility that Mike Scott was going to be in the starting lineup and get 25 minutes yesterday.
Oh, you mean my post about Mike Scott not playing? Oh man.
So, who knows? But I like Matisse. I think that is the move going forward, especially with who we're playing.
Yeah. We need that. We need that perimeter
can,
defense once again because we have Trae Young, but we also have a lot of other solid guards on the perimeter. Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovic. Yeah. They're all perimeter threats. So having a guy like Matisse in addition to Simmons in the starting lineup, is really great because they all. Well, Huerter doesn't start, but Bogdanovic and Young obviously do. So having that is going to be really helpful. So.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I think that until Joel's ready, you give it to Matisse.
Right.
I mean, think about how many looks we can throw at Trae Young just like right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Trae. I mean, Danny will be on him. Ben will be on him a little bit. Matisse can be on him. Not that I think Danny's the greatest option, but I mean, I don't think Russ exploited him too much.
Danny is going to be solid on Trae Young, especially if he gets switched on to like Seth Curry or something, and Danny Green's there to help out. That will help. I feel like a lot.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know what other adjustments will be made. We'll just have to see. I mean, we know George Hill's going to get minutes. Certainly appears that Tyrese Maxey will get some burn, and Dwight's going to be big. I do like how, and we tried it during the regular season, Dwight started a few games or whatever, and it just didn't work because he was just more comfortable coming off the bench, and so that's fine with me. He's going to play a big role, especially, again, as you alluded to, Clint Capella. We might have to gang rebound a little bit. It's definitely a taller task for Ben and whoever. So yeah. All right, let's talk about those two young point guards though. Ben Simmons,
sweet.
Trae Young.
Let's do it.
What do you got?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, just based on who I think or who we think will have a better series, I guess. I think. If you could look at it from a couple different ways. I mean, obviously the points category, Trae Young is going to average probably double Simmons' points. I mean, that's just the reality of it now. And even if Trae Young does average that many points, we saw what happened with the Wizards series. Bradley Beal averaged probably like 28 points per game. That's probably off. I'm not sure, but something along the lines of that. Trae Young could very, very well average around that, more than that. But here's the thing. When you have a guy scoring that many points and they still lose the series, it tells you that nobody around them is producing any good numbers. With the Hawks, it's going to be a little different, obviously, like we talked about before. Mm-hmm. But I think in terms of the points, Trae Young, that's very obvious. I don't know. It's going to be it's hard to compare these two players. People do it all the time. I've done it before, comparing Simmons and Trae Young. So I think it's all going to come down to just who impacts the game more. I think I could see Simmons having a better series overall, but I mean, obviously, like I said, scoring is going to be Trae Young. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, for guys that play the same position, quote unquote, like I don't think they could be any more different.
Yeah, and that goes for most point guards other than Simmons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're just different, and they're both great in their own ways. I can tell you one thing: Trae Young's definitely going to annoy me, seeing what he did to New York fans and just playing the back and forth with them, taking a bow at center court. Like, he's probably going to annoy me a lot in this series. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. A lot of what Trae Young was able to do mostly came from the fact that the Knicks have really no competent wing/perimeter defenders, and that's where Trae Young thrives, on the perimeter, creating for others, three-pointers, obviously just scoring on the perimeter. We have a few of those now, so I feel like being able to contain Trae Young is going to help that a lot. He won't be able to do all his dancy stuff, his, like you said, his taking bows at half court and talking all this trash. So I think like I said, I think it's going to be really interesting to see these two guys in this series.
So let me ask you this. We just had a 5-game series with the Washington Wizards, and their 2 best players are ball-dominant guards. Fact.
Who is this? The Wizards? You
So-
cut off a little bit.
Yeah. The Wizards.
Right.
With Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, we just played 5 games with them in a row. Ball-dominant guards, their best players, faces of the franchise, whatever you want to say. Do you think playing against that kind of team that we just played and now transitioning to playing a team like the Hawks where Trae Young is going to have the ball in his hands a lot, now he's different from those other 2, I get that, but do you think playing against those 2 can benefit the Sixers defensively as they prepare for Trae Young?
I mean, I would say so. I would say so because. Wait, you cut off a little bit. Are you good?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I would say would because, I mean, I feel like Bradley Beal. I mean, he's pretty on ball, but he's also good off the ball, off screens and off of passes and stuff like that. So I think it helps a little bit because guarding a guy like Bradley Beal, I mean, he was the leading scorer in the league this season. Actually, I think it was Steph Curry, but Bradley Beal was number 2 behind Steph Curry. And a scorer like that, the way he scores the ball, I mean, not a lot of guys can do that. Trae Young is one of them, unfortunately. So I feel like their play styles are very similar in the way that they score the ball, the way they score with the ball and move with the ball. So I feel like guarding Bradley Beal is going to help a lot. And Bogdanovich is kind of similar, obviously not nowhere near the level of Trae Young, but he's also really good off the ball too, really good on the ball. Very similar to Trae Young in that they're both perimeter creators. They can both score from 3. They can both pass a little bit and create for others. So I feel like having to defend Bradley Beal for a full series is definitely going to help out a lot. And not that Simmons and Thibault aren't prepared for that, because they are, because they are premier perimeter defenders and they have a pretty solid idea. But I definitely think guarding Beal helped a lot for Trae Young.
I think so. I mean, just in terms of scheme, again, they're different, but I mean, you plan for one guard that can drop 30, 40, 50 every night, then you kind of plan.
You can
for
apply a
more
lot of the
sense.
same tactics. Yeah.
So I definitely think that it can help. We'll see. Again, that goes back to even like the Hawks team. What surprised me about them is how they weren't a more efficient team from 3 or scoring. Like I said, kind of middle in the pack, and they got guys like Trae. They got Bogdanovich. They got DeAndre Hunter who can knock it down. They got Kevin Huerter off the bench. They got Gallinari off the bench, who's like, I don't know what he averaged this year, but he's like the season removed from averaging like 22, 23. They got some guys that can fill it up, and Trae Young can definitely find them. We'll see if Cam Reddish gets back with them. It should be a good series. I'm excited. Let's talk about some of that depth, though, from both teams.
For sure.
We've alluded to the Knicks, or for the Hawks, a lot. The Sixers without Joel Embiid aren't quite as deep.
Well,
what's your take?
For the most part, I would say, this is, like you just said, and like we've been mentioning for the larger part of this episode, the Hawks have a pretty deep team. They have some guys off the bench that can hit shots, guys off the bench that can create for others. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, Kevin Huerter is a really solid player, and then you have guys who can. John Collins is pretty multi-positional guy. He can. But he does start, so I guess that doesn't really matter. But I think in terms of depth, the Sixers and Hawks are pretty similar. I think it's going to come down to whether or not the Sixers bench can play like they've played in Game 4 and 5. If we have some clunkers from Milton Hill and Furk, the Hawks' depth is going to outmatch them by a lot, because most of the time the Hawks, for 3 or 4 bench players, bring it every night. Gallinari, Huerter, these guys are really solid role players. They're consistent, so I think that could be an issue. But like I said, if the Sixers' depth and bench can just not have just horrible games all the time and be pretty consistent like they've been the past couple games, then I think it should be pretty. I think it should be pretty. I think it should be a pretty even battle between this team's depth. It's all gonna come down to star power, though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the Hawks, again, they scare me just as a team with the shooters that they have, and guys that can score the basketball, particularly off of, Trae Young's ability to find them. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Trae Young throughout the game, that's for sure. And, we're just going to have to see, what...
Are we good?
What Trae Young's able to do. So, yeah.
Oh.
We cut out there for a second.
Man.
We're just going to see how Trae is going to be able to find them. Sorry,
You're
over
good.
there we're having some
You're
issues.
good.
But, yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
Yes.
I think a key for the Sixers, though, is containing the scoring
Very much.
from other guys, particularly those guys off the bench.
Hawks are a very
yeah,
scoring-oriented team. Their defense is good, but I mean, they rely very heavily on their offense. So we're a better defensive team than them, I think, even without Embiid.
Yeah.
Obviously, he helps, but I would
he helps.
say
I think a
defensively,
key
we're
for
probably
this.
a little better than the Hawks.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a key for the Sixers is avoiding foul trouble. I mean, we saw what happened in Game 4.
Yes.
When Ben was saddled with foul trouble, there was lineups out there that were just like, is this really a playoff lineup right now? Are we doing this?
Yeah.
And that's just what it looked like to me at some points. There was weird stuff. That was a weird 24 hours. But Ben and Tobias, particularly, especially if Joel is out, those guys got to be on the floor. They got to be on the floor. Ben can't play 25 minutes again. We can't afford it. Not against this team. I fully believe that. So Ben needs to be smart. That's why I think we'll obviously see a lot of Matisse minutes on Trae. We'll see some Danny Green on Trae. Because we know Trae Young likes to draw fouls.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think it's very, very important for Ben to stay out of foul trouble.
Definitely.
All right, so that's one of my keys. Give me a key to the grand scheme of things, the whole series, to the Sixers moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. How can we do it?
Here we go. So, keys to the Sixers moving to the Eastern Conference Finals. Main thing, getting past the Hawks, containing Trae Young in any shape or fashion, limiting his free throws, and limiting the amount of shots he gets on the perimeter. Whether that be by way of just single man coverage, whether it be Simmons at double teaming him when you can. Containing Trae Young is going to be key. Obviously, the Hawks have other weapons, but he's your main creator, main scorer, facilitator, all that stuff. Containing Trae Young, and I would also say, I mean, pretty obvious one too, but Harris and Simmons. And then, a nice couple games like Seth Curry had last night, and that could help, obviously. Danny Green scoring more than 12 would help a lot. But Simmons and Harris, I mean, if these guys can give us 20-plus for most of the series, Tobias for sure will. Simmons, obviously question mark there, but Harris and Simmons, that's pretty self-explanatory. If they can give us some nice output on offense, that's going to help a lot. And I would just say, I think you mentioned it before, foul trouble. Don't foul. Don't get Trae Young to the line too many times. Don't get yourself in foul trouble too many times. We don't need Simmons having a game like that in Game 4. Yeah. We don't need that at all. So
can't afford it.
Foul trouble, avoiding foul trouble, containing Trae Young, and Simmons and Harris. Those are my keys right there.
Okay.
I mean, that's
okay.
it.
I'll give you one, and I think it's
okay.
I think it's important to defend Trae Young off of the pick and roll, or defend the pick and roll in general, but defend even Trae, just containing him, figuring out what you're going to do and sticking with it, knowing when you're going to switch, knowing when you're not going to, especially without Embiid.
Yeah.
Clint Capella likes to roll to the hoop a ton.
Yep.
And without Embiid, you got to think they're going to try and exploit that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's very important, the pick and roll defense in general. Trae Young is so crafty. He's so good. He's so good at drawing fouls. We have to defend that. Right. I would personally much rather have Trae, pulling up from 30 feet, contested.
Yes.
Than making something happen off a pick and roll.
Mm-hmm. As good as he is at that, I'd rather have him pulling up contested like that, as opposed to him creating out of the pick and roll, because that's what he excels at. So you don't want that.
Yeah. Because he can have nights where he's off. He certainly can.
Right.
And
but
I
he's
would
a great
love
passer,
nothing
playmaker,
more than
all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love nothing more than the Sixers to, have him come out and have a 3 for 22 game from the field. That would be beautiful. He's kind of like Russ in that regard. Russ had a ridiculously poor shooting game in Game 4, and he ends up with a monster triple-double. Trae Young, I see some similarity there. Like, he can still affect the game. To his credit, if he's having an off night shooting, he can still impact the game in more ways than one. He can still facilitate. He can still lead his team. So, watch out for Trae Young. There's definitely a lot of keys if we're going to move on that have to do with him. All right, we're going to go to one of our favorite segments on the show here, over or under, for the Atlanta Hawks and Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm going to ask Michael an over or under for the series, and you're going to answer with over or under. Ready?
Let's go.
All right, over or under 30 points per game for Trae Young in this series?
I'm saying under. I'm going to say 28. 28.3.
Okay. Over or under 8 free throw attempts for Trae Young in this series? He averaged almost 7.5 against the Knicks.
Under. 8 would be way too much.
All right, I hope. Over or under 1/2 of a three-pointer attempted by Simmons in this series?
Yeah, no. Under. Way under. I don't care what he shoots it from. Under. Under.
All right. Over or under 9 assists per game for Ben Simmons?
I am having a tough time with this one. I don't know why. I want to say under, but over will be great. I'm going to go under. It's fine. I'll go under. Okay.
All right. Over or under 2.5 games played for Joel Embiid in this series?
Yeah, I'm really hoping he plays less than that. So I want to say under. I'm going to go under. He can't play that many games.
Okay. All right. So that's a tricky one. There's so many things that play into that last one because, like you said, if it's under, that's probably a good sign. You would think, but it could be a bad sign too. Who knows? But if he plays less than that and we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, we're good with that.
For sure.
So, hey, this has been the Planet 76 second round preview edition for action coming up Sunday, June 6th between the Atlanta Hawks and your Philadelphia 76ers. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to leave us a rating. Be sure to do something. Keep up with us on Instagram, Planet 76 Podcast, and we'll catch up with you here in a few days.
Go follow us on Instagram.
Go
follow Planet 76 on Instagram.
After a couple games. Do it.
Yes. That's
now.
my send-off.
Do it. We need it. All right. We'll see you next time. Peace. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 Podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.